President Lai has vowed to protect Taiwan's security and industries as the island navigates ongoing tariff negotiations with the U.S. and growing pressure from China. Well, he says that preparing for war is the best way to avoid it.
只要对等尊严，台湾很乐意跟中国进行交流合作，透过交流来取代围堵，透过对话来取代对抗，朝和平共荣的方向来发展。
Oh, China has been rebuffing Mr. Lai's Office of Talks, calling him a separatist. Beijing sees Taiwan as part of its territory and has not ruled out the use of force to achieve unification. Now, some residents in the mainland says that Mr. Lai's call for dialogue contradicts the One China principle.
这不是交流合作，你本来就属于中国呀，本来就属于中国呀，对吧？你本来就属于中国，我们就相当于是都是一个家庭呀，对不对？都是以家为主嘛，以国为主嘛。
至于很多历史问题，我觉得这个东西也不是一朝一夕说一代人就能解决的。这个我觉得大家慢慢来。其实你只要有一个更长期的沟通的过程，很多事情都有办法的，不要就是有激烈的冲突。
Well, Mr. Lai also has to navigate new U.S. tariffs of 32%, which have been put on pause. Well, part of the efforts include a $100 billion investment plan by leading semiconductor manufacturing firm TSMC. Mr. Lai is hailing investments in Taiwan from global tech heavyweights, including Advanced Micro Devices and NVIDIA. He says the government plans to establish a sovereign wealth fund to boost the tech-focused economy. For more insights, we are joined now by James Ifan Chen. He's assistant professor at Tam Kang University, Department of Diplomacy and International Relations. Well, thanks for joining us, Professor. Okay, so now first up, let's just talk about President Lai's approval rating. That has dipped. Disapproval now at 45.7%, according to one recent survey, which is the highest since he took office. That aside, Professor, can you just give us your report card on Mr. Lai's first year in office?
I think most of the major polls here in Taiwan are showing the same direction, that, Lai, his approval rate is declining gradually because, he did not, perform as we expect him to do. And then also that, because his ruling DPP is actually calling for the unseat and then mass recall movement, which is pretty divided for Taiwan's politics. So I think that's why, people in Taiwan are kind of have reservation on his performance in his first year in office.
Right, so Mr. Lai basically not living up to expectations. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on that? I mean, to talk about cross-strait tensions, for instance, that remains tense. Do you think part of it has got to do with how President Lai's approach to managing ties with Beijing has been?
Yes, so that's why, in this morning, during his remark to address the entire country, he did not mention much about China because he knows if he talked too much about China, especially in that kind of provocative way, then China may respond again with the military drill in the coming days. So today, he did not really mention about China in a forceful way. And this is actually, probably he has been told by some other friends from the international community, ask him not to, show this kind of stance to make cross-strait relations even more tense.
So Mr. Lai basically, he's held back talking about China, in this big anniversary speech. But overall, how do you think Beijing has responded to President Lai's administration over the past year? And are we seeing some kind of a shift in the strategy, or is it more of the same in terms of how they exert their military pressure and diplomatic isolation on Taiwan?
From what we can see in the past year, Beijing's military action against Taiwan is getting a lot increase in terms of their maneuver. Also, they're sending their sorties, to fly around Taiwan, and their vessels sailing around Taiwan every day. So this creates the, image that, under Lai's administration, the cross-strait relation has, go from bad to worse, and now even worse. So this time, if Lai, he did not comment much on China during his anniversary remark. That means probably the United States, give him some pressure in advance, tell him not to do so. Or the other way is because there is nothing new for Lai to say to the public here in Taiwan regarding to his cross-strait policy.
So as this tensions increases with Beijing, I mean, all the more they're going to need to engage, their international partners. So let's talk about how effective President Lai has been in terms of trying to boost Taiwan's strategic relations with the U.S. as well as regional partners like Japan and South Korea.
I think, the U.S. is the strongest ally that Taiwan has in international community. But because, since the President Trump of the U.S. took office this January, his national security team has, been reshuffled a couple of times. And now I do not really see the, feasible way for the Lai administration to stay connected with the top level U.S. national security team, especially on the issues of Taiwan. And as we can see right now, U.S. seems to be more urgent to negotiate with a trade deal with China. So Taiwan is not yet on the radar of the U.S. Strategic planning yet. I think the Lai administration, they still have to spend much more work and doing a lot of things to get connected with the U.S. administration.
What about its domestic economy?
And in terms of domestic economy.
Because how
okay.
successful
so in terms
has
of
he been
the relation to Japan.
Please go ahead, Professor.
In terms of relations with Japan, and then I think Lai's administration, they maintain a very good relations with Japan as usual. But right now, Japan's LDP ruling party, especially as the prime minister, they are actually showing two hands strategy. They are at the same time negotiating with the U.S., but at the same time they are sending their high-ranking officials or party officials to China to maybe make some kind of deal for the China, South Korea, and Japan free trade zone in the future. So I think Taiwan should try to find a way to coexist with China and then find a way to balance its approach between the U.S. and China. And if Taiwan's relations with South Korea, I think South Korea, because we are more in the competitive gesture in terms of our economy development, a lot of industry are actually overlapping. So I think Taiwan and South Korea, we do not specifically have any kind of conflict in the political perspective. But it's also because the South Korea's politics is getting a little bit uncertain during the past few months. So that's why Taiwan and South Korea does not really have any kind of substantial interactions.
So let's talk about the opposition KMT. They have intensified their criticism. They're staging all these public protests. Their latest survey basically branding Mr. Lai's first year a failure. How serious a challenge do you see the opposition to Mr. Lai's policy agenda, whether it's to do with national security or to do with China policy?
I think the opposition still have cast a lot of doubts on Lai's capability to doing the national security policy or cross-strait policy. When Lai Ching-te, he, in last year, at the same very day, May 20th, for his inauguration, he actually, the first time he mentioned about the PRC and the ROC are not subordinated to each other. So that caused, future military drills from the China side. When every time Lai Ching-te, he mentioned about the not subordinate to each other thing. So this time, this year, today, he did not mention about the not subordinate to each other thing. So I think the military, tension can be probably just, as daily patrol of the PRC's, vessels and warplanes around Taiwan, but not escalated to another tension. But at the same time, because Lai do it, he tried to talk peacefully to the outside world. Make him like he has that kind of willingness to negotiate with China. But in domestic politics, he basically just shut all the doors for interactions with China. For example, as a professor, now we are kind of warned by the education minister not to bring your students or yourself to have any kind of academic exchange with China for your personal safety. And I don't think this is gonna be very helpful for cross-strait relations.
Oh, thanks for sharing your personal insights there. It's been great talking to you. Appreciate that. Assistant Professor James Ifan Chen from Tamkang University.